boy who's... That's right. I get to take off my mask when I'm up here. Yay. All right. We are on, I looked up 1 second and we had 3 minutes to go. And then I looked up again and we had 10 seconds to go. That went fast. All righty. Today, you will notice a bunch of stuff at your seat. You got a bunch of things. Some of them are for you to bring me. We're going to be putting some up on the board. You'll see you have a numbered sheet that has, we have the numbers 1 through 7, I believe, maybe 1 through 8. Also, you have your coloring sheet, and I'll just show you what we've got. This one is your coloring sheet. This one is your booklet. This time, usually we just put the class notes up on the board or up on the screens. But today, because we have a little booklet that you can take home about the 7 days of creation, and you have your coloring sheet. This is our theme for today. You'll see that we had up there, our theme for today is the creation. God creates the universe. And that is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to go quickly through the 7 days of creation and what God did on each day. See our theme here. God creates the universe. The omnipotent God created the universe. Do you remember that word omnipotent? It was on our, right there. It is on our attributes page for God. And it says he's always present. Whoops, that's omnipresent. I'm sorry. Omnipotent up here. All powerful. That word potent, we think of something that's really potent, is really powerful. God is all powerful to do whatever he wants. If he decides he's going to do something, he has the power to do it. And God decided all of a sudden that, he needed people. He needed us. And so we're going to look at those. What did we talk about last week? What did we talk about last week? Do you remember what there were? We had 4 of us were here last week. Remember what it was? Right up here? The 7 C's of history. Let's quickly go through them. And it starts like this. It does it in a circle. We start over here with creation, then corruption, then catastrophe, the confusion, Christ, Jesus coming, the cross, and the consummation. And that's when Jesus returns to take us all with him to heaven. People that have passed on, people that are still here alive, we're all going to be taken up to heaven with Jesus into that new heavens and new earth that he's going to restore and remake for us. So today, we're going to look at the first C. Now, the next probably 5 or 6 weeks, we're going to be looking at different parts of that first C. But today, we're going to quickly go through each day, and we're going to find out what he did. How many days did God create? How many days of creation? 6. But how many days of the week do we have, Cassidy? 7. So what about that 7th day, Angela? The day of rest. And we're going to read more and see more about those as we go along. So let's go to our slide 3. And that's our poster for today. And this is the coloring sheet you have. It shows the 6 days of creation. And in each picture, in each little number, you'll see that they have included the things that God created on that day. Now, in order to get us to day 6, where God created us in his own image and breathed the breath of life and the Spirit into us, when God made us, he made us more special than all of the other living creatures in his creation. So on day 6, in order for everything to be ready for us, on day 6, he had a lot to do on the first 4 days, because on the fifth and sixth day, he started creating living things, saved the best for last. That was us, his most wonderful creation. So we're going to put this one up because this is today's theme. We'll put that up there. And we're going to take a look at, one of the things I thought that it suggested that we could do was maybe to go around and think about something God created, any of those days, could be any of those days, something that starts with the first letter of your name. Now, for instance, like my name is Vicky, so all I could think of was, the first word that popped in my head was vixen, and that's a girl fox, a lady fox. And then I thought about, vegetables, and just now it occurred to me when I saw this one with the planets, Venus has the V in it. So who wants to, you think of something that starts with the first letter of your first name? Atmosphere, yay, yeah, right. Good for Angela. Lights? Lice? Life with an F, like life, all life. Yeah, Layla's got a good one for her L. How about Ellery, E? Oh yeah, you know what? I thought about you this morning, and I thought, I wonder if Ellery will think about an elephant for her E. How about Gabby or Cassidy or Gage? Gabby and Gage both have a G, but we could probably come up with some other G's. Now, it doesn't have to be up here pictured. Something you like, something you can think of that God made that starts with the first letter of your first name. I thought of a G. It's kind of a funny one. Grapes. How about that? Oh, that's a good one. How about Cassidy? What do you think? Creation. Oh, yeah. She's got C for creation. All right. So we came up with a few there of different ones. Now, God created the earth and everything in it in 6 complete 24-hour days. We've got a little video that's called 6 Days that I'm going to show right here that shows us kind of quickly, goes through what happened on each day. And then we're going to break that down throughout our lesson today. So let's take a look at our video. I'll turn my mic off so we can listen to that.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth." And it was so. And the evening and the morning were the third day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven, to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that has life, and birds that may fly above the earth across the face of the firmament of heaven. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful, and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let birds multiply in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. And God said, let the earth bring forth a living creature after its kind, livestock and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after its kind. And it was so. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. And God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the morning, the sixth day.
And there we have the 6 days of creation. Notice, and we'll point it out again later, how God took special time to make man in his own image, to make man and woman, mankind. So on our first day, we're going to take a look at slide 4 is our poster for today again, and we're going to talk about what happened on the first day. We're going to put up our verse. I believe I got a verse. Here it is. Genesis, remember, is our first book of the Bible, and it is the first chapter and the first verse, and we've seen this a few times already this year. We've looked at it, and let's look at what it says. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So in the beginning, he created the heavens and the earth. They were there. The earth was there. Now you notice in that picture, they showed the earth as just like a bubble kind of looking, because God is going to do some more work with it as the times go on. Now, what do you think? Somebody here has a poster that says day 1. See if you have it, and you can bring that up, and we're going to put it on the board, and you can read that, what that poster says. Okay? Cassidy's got it. Just a second. I'm going to hold my mic so they can hear what you say as you read yours.
God created day and night, dark and light.
There we go. On the first day, God created day and night, dark and light. Now, you might think, what's missing there? What is missing there? That's in a minute. What's missing on day 1? He made day and night, light and dark. He said, let there be light. And what did he use to create that light? What did he use to create it? Just his word, nothing but his word. Didn't need any tools, didn't need any parts. He used just his word. Now, years ago, I made a bulletin board of the 6 days of creation, and this is one of the first pictures. God created, he said, let there be light, and he separated the light from the dark. Now, on these first 3 days, we're going to find out that God did separating. He said night and day, daylight, light and dark. So he did separating that first day. And what's missing? What do we have that makes it light outside? Yeah, the sun. But did God create the sun here on this first day? No, he did not. So by his power, his omnipotent power, he created the light, and he didn't even need anything to keep it light. The light, the dark. Now, what did he say about this day when he gets all done? He says it was very good. So this is our first day. Let's take a look. On your little booklet, if you want to write it in, on your booklet, you can write in. If somebody needs help, maybe we got a helper to write it for them. It says, God said, let there be light. And he separated the light from the darkness. This was the first blank and night. So what do we call it? Day and night. So we put day in that blank. This is the first day, and we see it up here. And so that's our class notes. Now they're not showing the picture up there, but we have the little booklets here that we're working on here, and we have pages here to fill out some little things. Now that's day 1. Let's move on to day 2. And before we put anything up about day 2, I have a verse, I do believe. The reading from Genesis that tells us what God did the second day. Let's see. God said, let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. And sometimes it says the waters beneath from the waters above. Now that expanse is something we call like the sky and the atmosphere. Take a deep breath. Go ahead and breathe in and let it out. We don't want you to pass out holding that breath. What did you just breathe in? Air. God knew that his creation was going to need to breathe air. So on the second day with this expanse, he separates the waters below from the waters above. And what do we call the waters above? We've got up above us with the clouds. We call it the sky, right? Are you practicing reading that? Okay. Oh, okay. And so, yeah, the word expanse might be his hardest one on that. So God made the clouds. Now the clouds, he says he separated waters below from waters above. Waters below would be the seas and oceans and rivers and lakes and streams. But what are the waters above? Did you know we had waters above? I think some of my kids that have been in school to where they've learned about the waters that are above. What do we call that water that's above? It's raining all down on us today and yesterday. Rain. And where does the rain come from? Clouds. When the clouds get so heavy with that wetness, with that rain, it finally lets loose and it rains. And that's all caused from different things in the weather with the high pressure and low pressure, with hot air meeting cold air, and then we end up with different things, changes in our weather. So let's bring up 2. And Gage has been practicing, so he can read that one for us. Gage is going to bring up 2. Okay. Go ahead, I'll help you too.
God separated the waters and created the sky and air.
Very good. All right. So you see right in this one, it has that word separated. On the first day, God separated light and dark. On the second day, he separated waters above the sky from the waters below. I might have to put a clip on that for a second, make it stay up, because I made some of them tall and some of them flat. All right, so here he is separating light and dark, sky above with clouds, and the waters below, rivers, oceans, all those kind of bodies of water, and separated those. So on that day, he also made the sky and the air, and that's what that expanse is in between that separates the clouds from the waters below. So I think, let's see, let's look at our class booklet. Look at day 2. Let's see, what do we have to fill in? We have God created the blank and the blank we breathe. The air we breathe, so that's the second one. What about that first blank? What do you think that goes in there? What was that big word for that separation? Start with an E. If you need help, look up on the screen. It's up there. It's kind of yellow, so it might be a little hard to see it. The expanse. We talk about expanding something, making it bigger and bigger. He stretched out the space between the waters below and the waters above. That expanse, and there's that word, E-X-P-A-N-S-E. And we'll leave that up for a second so you can put that on there. And if you have somebody that needs a little help writing it in, we'll give them a hand. So that is our day 2. God knew that his creation was going to need water, but that we also needed air to breathe. So this is getting ready. On day 2, I'm going to take this guy down, put him over here. Well, let me put him in this little gap so we can get these guys up here. Day 1, day 2. Let's take a look at day 3. On day 3, did everybody get expanse written down? And if they wrote it once, they can copy that and spell it again. All right, so let's go to our next slide, which is Genesis 1:11. And God said, let the earth sprout. Oops, just a minute. Is there one before that? Sorry, I was going to say that comes after. So I knew I should have one more. Here's Genesis 1, and we jump to 9 and 10 because it's the third day. God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And then God called the dry land earth, and the waters that were gathered together he called seas. And God saw that it was good. So this is the first thing he does on day 3. Now my picture shows all of the stuff he did on day 3, because he separated water from land. And what did he call the water part? He called it the sea. And the land part he called earth. Yeah, because that's what we call it too. This is the earth that we live on. This is how God created it. And now he wasn't done. There was something else that he did on day 3. And it wasn't just the 2 things. In the other cases, he separated light and dark, waters above, waters below, made that expanse. This time, he adds one more thing on day 3. And that we can now go to our next slide, which is verse 11. And on this one, he tells us what he made in addition to separating them. Let's see, who's got day 3? You know what, day 3, there's no one at that spot, so Layla, if you want to get that. Layla's going to bring us up day 3, and let me move these over so you can put it right there next. Put day 3 right up here with day 1 and day 2. Oh, okay. And she's going to read day 3. Here's what God did on day 3.
God created the land and the plants.
Okay, he created the land. The waters, remember, were there. So he's separating the waters and bringing out dry land, which he calls earth. But he also, let's take a look at the slide we had up earlier, that 1:11, Genesis 1:11. And God said, let the earth sprout vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit trees bearing fruit, in which is their seed. So when we have fruit, the seeds are inside the fruit, and each according to its kind on the earth, and it was so. Now, what does he mean by this kind? We'll go into that kinds, I think, more next week, but for now, let me just say that when God created kinds of trees, he's talking about an apple tree. You're not going to find an apple tree all of a sudden sprouting a pineapple or an orange or growing grapes, because when God told it what its job was, that's its job, and that's what it does. Now, we have learned how to splice plants together and make hybrid plants but the only reason that those plants can work is that if they are in the similar kind. Like, you can't splice an orange tree into an apple tree. I don't know that that's ever been attempted, but they're not the same kinds of fruits. One's a citrus fruit, and the apple, I don't know what you would call the apple, just a regular tree fruit, but those aren't the same kind of tree, so you're not going to grow that same kind of thing. But on citrus plants, they have mixed sometimes the different citruses together and made different ones there. Now, here's our day 3. Created the land, pulled out the land from the water, and made the land, brought forth vegetation. That's the grass, all the green stuff that grows on the earth. Yes, Ellery. The what? The earth, yes. Take a look at our booklet, and we're going to go in here, and we're going to go to our booklet, and we're going to see what day 3 says. God created the land and all the blank that grow out of it. What do we call the green stuff? Plants. Yep, they are plants. Even grass, we don't think of grass as a plant, but it is. It's a plant. And you know what? If you would let your grass grow long and you don't mow it, that it goes to seed, and it has seeds that will drop in the ground again and grow more grass. So if we didn't mow our grass, now you notice in the spring there are some people that let their grass grow just so high before they mow it to let it get to that seed point. So on day 3, on our notes, in your little booklet, you're going to write the word plants in there. God created the land and all the plants that grow out of it. Now, day 4 is the last one in this kind of a set. I'm going to take these guys, kind of smush them all together, because we don't want to take up too much space with those. We have our other pictures. All right. Now, day 4. On day 4, God had something else he needed to put up, and he's separating, or now, whoops. Remember I said that on the first 3 days he was separating things? Maybe I can do it this way and it'll still show. He separated things, and now when we start with day 4, I'm going to go back over here, because after the separation of light and dark, now he's going to make something on day 4 to permanently keep that rhythm going of day and night and day and night and light and dark. So what do you think he made on day 4? Let's take a guess before we read it. What do you think? Planets, and what's our lights? What lights up the daytime? It's not shining today because there's too many clouds in the way. Yep. The sun. And what lights up the night? The moon. And so let's take a look at our verse. And God made 2 great lights. The greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night and the stars. So 3 things here. A greater light to rule the day, lesser light to rule the night, because the moon isn't as bright as the sun, is it? Did you see the full moon a week or so ago? It gets pretty bright, and you can even see shadows on your lawn at night when the full moon is out, when it's so bright, if there's not clouds covering it up. What's that? Oh, yeah. Oh, I like that. So when we look out at night, now he calls that the lesser light. Because let me ask you something, though. The sun is a source of light. They tell us it's a big ball of burning gases in it, and it's so many millions of miles away. That's why we don't burn up. But it is. It gives us heat. It gives us light. What about the moon? Does the moon have light of its own? No. Where does it get light? Yeah. Gage is saying nope, it does not have its own light. It only has light because the sun is shining on it. So when the moon is full, that means the earth is out of the way. When we're not lined up with it, the earth is out of the way, and we can see the whole moon at once. We can see how big and round it is, pretty, and it reflects the light from the sun like a mirror. Did you know that we could be kind of like moons? Do you ever think about that? If we have Jesus in our heart, we have the light of God, the light of Jesus in our heart, and we can reflect that light of Jesus out in our world, so let people know. You know, God said, let your light shine so that men will see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. So we know that we can be kind of like the moon. We reflect the light of Jesus and the love of Jesus. That's what we want to do as Christians. And when we have Jesus living in our heart, we want to reflect that light and that love to those around us. So that's a good thing. We can be kind of like a moon. Yep. All right. So he's got the stars. Now what, we already named them, didn't we? Let's go to our picture. Who's got day 4? Oh, day 4 is empty also. There's nobody at day 4. Go ahead and grab that. Cassidy, you want to grab that? Day 4? There, Leila. Oh, Leila's going to do it. Oh, gosh, yeah. Let's just use this guy. He's an extra. All right. Yeah, put him right under 1. Because we're going to overlay mine. It doesn't matter. All right. So what happened here?
God created the sun, moon, stars, and planets.
Okay. So which came first? Let me ask you. The earth or the sun? Earth, because God says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless, it says, and stuff, so he had more work that he did, and he started that the second day, separating waters, third day, separating land out of the water, and making the green plants grow. Because what's important about making those green plants grow? What's important about those green plants? Yep, they do. They give off the oxygen. We breathe in oxygen, right? And what do we breathe out? Carbon dioxide. And you know what? Yes, and you know what the trees do? They breathe in our carbon dioxide and they change it and give us oxygen back. So God made that balance right there on day 3. Now, there weren't people to breathe the air yet, but he had the air ready for us to breathe. Now he's got vegetation, plants, and good things so that when we come here, we'll have things to eat. And then he puts the lights in the sky, the sun, the moon, the stars. Now, he also says that he puts those in there for seasons and for other things like that. So we know that right now, what season are we in technically? Do you know what season we're in? We're in fall, because we won't be in winter until next week. 21st, 22nd of December. I haven't checked on my calendar because now they go with the atomic clock, and you know, when I was a kid, it was always the 21st of the month that we had our solstice and our equinox, but now they go by the atomic clock, so it could be just before midnight or just after midnight on a certain day, so it could be the 20th, 21st, 22nd, somewhere in there, that we will have winter. Even though it's been cold and we've had some snow, and up north, they've really got a bunch of snow this week, but it's still fall here. Yeah, Ellery. You had a question? Or you were going to say something about the seasons? Okay. All right, so yeah. So we've got the sun, we've got the moon, we've got stars, and the planets. Don't forget about those. There are 8 or 9, depending on whether they want to let little Pluto be a planet or not. So here's our day 4. Now, these are the days that he's getting everything ready, because on the next 2 days, he's going to start putting living creatures here. So what do you think? If you look at my pictures, and I said here, we've got the sun and the moon. So he filled the daylight and the darkness, and he put out the sun and the moon and the stars and the planets. What about here? What do you think he made on day 5? He's got he filled in day 1 on day 4, and now on day 5 he's going to fill in day 2. What do you think might be there? Sea creatures and flying creatures, right. And there they are. Did my best to make a few of them for my picture. We got some sea creatures in the sea and flying things. Now, this is not like flying insects, because insects usually start out as a larvae or a worm, a creepy thing, and then they get in their stage where they fly. So this is talking about flying other critters like the birds and bats and all those kind of things. All right, so let's look at day 5. Who's got? Oh, did we not? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Layla. I'm getting ahead of myself. She says, did we write down day 4? No, we did not. Day 4 has 3 things, because we have 3 different things here. The greater light to rule the day is called the sun. The lesser light to rule the night is the moon. And the blank, all the blank. He spoke and they appeared. All the stars. We could put stars there. We could put planets there. I think they put stars there. He spoke them. Do you know what's amazing? Do you think that in all of our years and all of our smart science, do you think we know how many stars there are out there? Do you know? Anybody know? Ever hear how many stars we got out there? Did anybody ever count them all? Yeah, thousands and thousands. I don't think we're able to count them, because we've got like the movement and stuff, and there's so many. But do you know how awesome our omnipotent, awesome God is? He named every star. He knows every star by name, just like he knows how many hairs are on your head, and he can tell you exactly how many are there. We can't count them. We can say, oh gosh, I had 3 or 4 fall out in the brush today, but we don't have a count of that. God does. One time he told Abraham, count the stars if you can. That's how big your family's going to get. Count the sand on the seashore if you can. That's how big your family's going to get. Can we count the sand on the seashore either? Oh, no. No, we probably can't even count the sand in one little handful. So here's day 4, our class notes. On to day 5, we already started talking about that, so let's look at our Bible verse, Genesis 20. And God said, let the waters swarm. Now, take a look at the difference in the wording when he told the birds and the fish to come into being. Let the waters swarm with swarms of living creatures, and let the birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the heavens. Did he tell the birds to swarm too? Did you notice that? He told the fish to swarm. He wanted the sea just full and full. What did you say, Gage? Did he tell the birds to swarm in the air? Nope, he said to the birds, let their birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the heavens. So the birds are flying But he didn't tell them to fill the air with birds. What would happen if the air was full of birds? Holy moly, where would we have enough air to breathe? You know, we would really... They could crash into each other. We'd have to look out below and take an umbrella with us everywhere we go. So he gave the birds a little bit different orders than he did the fish. The fish, he said, I want you to swarm and team across and fill the whole sea with creatures like that. Now, these creatures are able to eat plants. The birds can perch in the trees. They can eat fruit and stuff like this. But there's also some amount of vegetation that grows in the ocean. So they had that. So let's take a look at our picture. And there we have what... let's put day 5 up. Who's got day 5? Gabby. And I can read it for you. Go ahead and come on up and bring it up, and let me get you a thing to stick it up there. There we go. And God created the flying and swimming creatures. All right, day 5. And that's a really pretty picture there that they made with all of those guys, with the fish. Now you'll notice when they show and you can look at your little picture on your coloring sheet and in your booklet. You have that same picture here, but not a color, of course. And you'll notice that there's like a dinosaur bird, pteranodon or a pterodactyl, and there's a dinosaur-looking creature in the sea. Because when God created all the animals, the beasts of the sea, and the flying creatures, there were things that we call dinosaurs that are extinct, that we don't find too much anymore, or we haven't seen in years and years, that are extinct. But they were all created. If they were fish, anything that lived in the sea, or birds that could fly, they all came on day 5. Now, let's fill out our booklet. Our class notes. God created sea creatures to fill the sea, and the flying creatures to fly above the earth and fill the sky. Okay, but they don't fill the sky in such the same way as he wanted the fish to fill the sea. He told them to swarm, and he just told the birds to fly and to have more. So now let's take a look at our next one. It's interesting to see how God made. What do you think on day 6? What did he make on day 6? You can look at your picture and kind of tell what kind of things. Land animals and people. So take a look at what he says here. Now notice where the land animals came from. This is really neat. And sometimes if you read it too fast, you kind of miss it. But look what he says. God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds, livestock and creeping things and beasts of the earth according to their kinds. And it was so. So here's where your creeping things, your worms and your little buggy things and stuff, this is where they came in. Also the beasts of the field, the livestock, which is animals that we keep on a farm, like our horses and cows, sheep, things like that, and and the beasts of the field, which would be like our deer and bears and things like that. Notice where they came from when he said, I want them to come out of the earth. Can you imagine what that must have looked like when those animals were starting to come forth from the earth? And that's kind of interesting because now he's got all this stuff made. He has already got the air for the food, the air and the water, the food and everything for all these creatures. Let's see now. There was one more thing that he wanted to take special time and special attention to doing. And look at verse 27. God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. So man or mankind We have males and females, and he created them on day 6 after all these animals. And the animals he told to just come forth from the earth, but with man, he took his own time with them and with man, and he also did something special. Do you see what it says he did? He created him in his own image. So we look something like God. And I don't know that it means a physical appearance because God's a spirit, but he created us in his image. So we are like God. He created us to be like him so that he could live in us, with us. So let's take a look at our little booklet. Whoops, first off, let's take a look at the big 6. And I think Angela's got the 6. She's going to bring that up and read it. Oh, no.
God created the land animals and made people very special in his image.
There we go. So he took special time to make us. We are not like the animals. People that believe in evolution will tell you that, well, what have you heard? That they tell us that animals evolved over millions of years and that eventually an ape started standing on his back feet and then walking and stuff, and pretty soon it was a person. I don't think an animal can turn into a person any more than an orange can turn into a grape, but we're because God says he made everything after its own kind. We cannot, animals like a cat and a dog is a different kind. The cats are one kind of animal, dogs are another kind of animal, and you can't mate an animal. A cat and a dog will not make any babies at all because they don't match. They're not the same kind of animals. They're animals that are in the same kind group that you may, like they mate a horse with a donkey and you get a mule. But you know what? That mule can't mate with another mule and make a baby because he's kind of the odd one out. You got horses, you got donkeys. They can make a baby that's in their same kind that turns out to be a mule, but that mule can't make new mules. The only way you can make them is with a horse and a donkey. All right, so let's take a look at our notes. God created the land, what's our word there? Animals. The land animals and blank, the only ones created in God's image. And that would be people, right? So we are the only ones made in his image. So we have the land animals and people. And that fills out. Now, you know what? Some of these same things that we just filled out there are right here on your coloring sheet under the letters. So if you missed something there. Now, our booklet has an 8th page. So we talked about all of the things God did in 6 days of creation. And at the very beginning of class, we talked about, hey, but aren't there 7 days in the week? What did God do on that 7th day? Oh, here, by the way, here's our filling in with people and animals. I only had a couple animals there. But God made thousands of them. But anyway, so what did he do?
It was a day of rest. He took a break of creating, even though he wasn't tired. He wanted to show people that after days of doing work, you need a day's rest.
All right, very good. Layla said that God wanted to show us that after working 6 days, we need a day of rest. And he rested not because he was tired, but he wants us to, so we would rest too. God is omnipotent. Whoops, I jumped ahead. We have day 7. God rested. He wanted us to know that we would need a day to blank and worship him. We need a day to rest. You can't go 7 days a week without wearing yourself out. It can damage your health. It can damage your, all kinds of things if we don't take some time off. So, and God knew that we needed that. So he set that example for us. Also, the last page says he is omnipotent, which means he is all powerful. Let's take a look. God rested. And this goes into Exodus. God didn't tell us in Genesis, but it's in Exodus. He says, in 6 days the Lord made heaven and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Sabbath is, that word Sabbath is a Hebrew word that means a day of rest. So that's pretty cool, the seventh day. He's omnipotent, meaning he's all powerful. I know we're right on the edge, we're just a couple minutes over, but I just want to conclude one little thing. We might hear, like at school and on TV, and even if you go to museums and places about evolution and the millions and millions of years, but remember that the Bible is God's word, and God cannot lie. God told us the truth in his word, and as we've talked from the beginning, his word is our best foundation. When you hear things that don't sound quite right, always be sure to refer back to what you learned in the Bible. Let's see all powerful. That's 8. And the word you can't read up there is the word rest. They kind of pushed it over into the thing. So remember, we have evolution that is out there, and evolution is a theory. The theory is a man's idea, but they can't prove it, even by scientists that say, oh, you've got to prove everything with science, you got to be able to prove it over and over. You can't prove evolution. The proof we have of creation is the fact that God told us about it, and the fact that there's so much order and so much amazing stuff in creation that it has to have a designer. It didn't just come about by a big blurb and all of a sudden the things started growing and things happened coming out of nothing. The only things that came out of nothing, and it wasn't even nothing, God created everything with the power of his word. All right, we are going to we're going to close with our friends out there with our memory verse. We've got that new memory verse in Psalms talking about God's creation. And so we'll get that video ready and we'll say goodbye to our friends out there who are watching online. Bye. And we will see you next week for lesson 13. All right.
Yeah.